guys, Anime here, and I just want to let you guys know that the new What If is out. But if you're hearing this, that means it's already out. So, anyway, welcome to What If Deku had half and half Quirk. Yes, this is the Quirk one that won. Sorry that it took so long to get out. I had a wedding to go to. But if you guys are listening to this when it comes out, it should be around 11:30 p.m. Because I'm recording this at 10:30. Editing and uploading takes about an hour. Anyway, yeah. Thanks to Shalaz Begum, you'll see their comment on screen right now. Shalaz Begum for the What If. You're amazing. Dude, woman, girl, boy. I don't know what. You didn't specify your gender, so I'm just going to say everyone. Transgender, whatever. I don't care. Thank you for the What If. Go subscribe to them. If they have an active channel, I hope so. Otherwise, I'm going to sound real stupid saying subscribe. Anyway, let's just get right into it. Deku gets the power because... Well, first of all, I guess I should tell you what the half and half quirk is. It's Pokemon Sun and Moon. Sun and Moon. Yes, that was a joke. Anyway, I'm just gonna call it Sun and Moon. I was really tempting to use that Pokemon joke, which I did. Sue me. Anyway, the quirk has two parts. Obviously, you can tell from the name. One part works when the sun is out, and the other part works when the moon is out. And that's the only explanation you're going to get until we get to the Quirk Doctor scene, because I'm not going to tell you guys everything at the start. It takes too long and it makes the video longer, which I guess you guys like, but I'm already going to go to the UA exam. That's just a part of my channel. I feel like I've established that for the first What If. I feel like everything I did in that What If is just established. Like, each episode is going to be a long episode, so strap in. You guys know what to do. I don't need to tell you to subscribe. You guys know that. But do comment, because I do like seeing you guys' comments. Especially some of these. I'm going to put some up screen of the, the thoughtful ones or the ones that are really great. Send me guys some comments, guys. I do read all your comments, and that's why each one of you has a like within 24 hours of posting your comment. Because I really do read and appreciate all your comments. They're really funny, and sometimes they really help me get through the day. Not that, I'm depressed or anything. It's nice to see people being nice to you guys. You know what I mean? Anyway. Enough with that ramble. On to the What If. Now, we start with Deku. Well, I guess... Alright, one last thing to explain about the quirk. Inko can manipulate the moon for her purposes, and Nezuko's dad can manipulate the sun. And I don't mean manipulate as in they can move it. I mean they can use... Basically, things that the moon and sun influence, they can use for theirself. And I'll get more into that when I explain Deku's quirk. I mean, Nezuko. You guys know, as a staple of this channel, I don't call Deku until after the UA entrance exam. He's always a Zuko until then. Well, anyway, on to the thing with the Zuko. Anyway, we start with the Zuko in class. Bakugo just awakened his quirk, and the class is heading outside to recess. When Zuko steps outside, he feels different. A flood of warmth and calmness fills his body. And all of a sudden, Deku's classmates look a lot smaller. However, they didn't get smaller. Deku grew a lot. In fact, he grew to be 6 feet. Now, this is all about to make sense in a few minutes. Well, actually, yeah, in a few minutes, that's when we should get to the Quirk Doctor scene. So Deku grew, and he's wondering what's going on. His teachers are thinking, okay, this must be some sort of quirk. Maybe Izuku has a growing quirk. But oh no, Izuku isn't done yet. Izuku left hand starts glowing. And all of a sudden, a burst of light fires from each and every one of his fingers. Almost blinding the other students. Yeah, not a good thing. This is when one of the teachers rushes inside to call Inko to take Izuku to the Quirk Doctor. Meanwhile, Izuku is slowly starting to be on fire. Now, this is all gonna make sense when we get to the Quirk Doctor scene, I promise. But until then, Izuku rushes inside, where he immediately shrinks back down and he stops becoming on fire. The fire is extinguished, and he goes to stay in the nurse's office until Inko gets there. Once Inko arrives, the teachers tell her what happened, and Inko is surprised because Izuku's dad told her a similar story of how he awakened his quirk. Inko then rushes Izuku to the doctor, And after they run some tests, they first tell Ingo and Izuku this. They tell them that the tests were incomplete and they'll have to come back in light to study more about Izuku's quirk. They're surprised about this, but ask them what do they have right now. They said they found half of his quirk, and that's the sun part of it. They tell Inko and Izuku that Izuku pretty much acts as if he was a plant. Well, no, they tell Izuku that if he was an animal, he would be a hyper-evolved form of parasite. Kind of like All For One, but even better. And I'm about to get into why I say this. Izuku can take aspects of what what the sun and moon do and apply them to himself. You know how I said earlier Izuku grew to be 6 feet tall? Well, what else grows when exposed to sunlight for a certain amount of time? Plants. Plants grow because of sunlight. And the reason why Izuku was able to fire beams of light out of his hands? What else fires huge arcs of light out of it? The sun. Ever heard of a solar flare? Google it. Just kidding, I'm about to tell you what it is. It's when the sun releases a huge amount of energy at once, and basically, you know how it's always on fire? Well, where some of the fire just shoots outward. Now, luckily, it doesn't reach far enough to each any of the planets or even us, so we don't notice it. But basically, Izuku is getting pretty much a weaker form of a solar flare. Except this time, if Izuku does it, he's not going to wipe out the entire planet by making it 10,000 degrees. So, yeah, that's fun. But yeah, so that's why Izuku was able to grow and why his right hand was on fire. He's basically taking traits of what the sun can do to things and applying them to himself. And there's even more. When the sun is out, Izuku will never get tired because the sun is constantly supplying him with energy just how it would a plant. He will never be hungry when the sun is out because, again, he will be giving him like a plant. The sun gives plants food, so Izuku is never hungry when the sun's out. So yes, he can create fire using the sun's heat and then manipulate it just like how the sun can manipulate a solar flare or a solar ring. Look that one up because I don't feel like doing any more research for this episode. But yeah, and that's about it for what they have for his sun powers. He can manipulate heat and fire. He's never tired or hungry when the sun's out because the sun supplies him with a steady thing of energy. However, they do ask them, since Izuku's mom has moon powers, they do ask Izuku to come back that night to test to see if he has any moon powers. So they come back that night and the Quirk Doctor and his assistants run some more tests and they find out that Izuku has moon powers too. Now Izuku already figured this out because when they were on their way back, Izuku thought it was still daytime because through Izuku's eyes, he has pretty much the equivalent of a night vision potion on him at all times. Because in nighttime, just like how wolves and owls, how they have pretty much night vision, Izuku gets it too. Again, he can take anything that the moon can do, aspects of it, and apply it to himself. Think of All For One, but better. And that's going to come in a lot of trouble later, but we'll get to that. Anyway. But yeah, they find out that Izuku, again, has night vision, has a higher sense of smell, and his senses are above human, like not human. Just like how animals, when the night they get this like extra sense of just being able to stalk their prey a lot better. So anyway, and through the moon's energy, they find out that Deku can manipulate water because if you don't know, the moon manipulates the Earth's oceans. Literally, it controls the tides. So that's a fun fact. The moon is always pulling at our water. Yay! So yeah, and since he can control water, that also means that he can control snow and ice, and also cold air. Yes, so since Izuku can control cold air and heat, technically be able to make a tornado, but we're not going to get into that. That opens up a whole new can of worms. We're just not getting into that. Anyway, moving on. After Izuku is told all about his quirk, he's ecstatic. because he thinks this is a really cool quirk and I can really do a lot with this. Maybe become a stronger hero than All Might. And that's going to be Izuku's next goal for now. And I'll get into why in just a second. Well, anyway. Oh, yeah. There's a few things you should know. Izuku is not going to act like a normal child because he is going to be swapping his sleep schedule. So there will be days where he's not at school because he'll be sleeping. The reason is he needs to get more in depth with his moon powers. And you can't really do that if you're working on a sun schedule. So, like, once a month, for a whole week, Inko will swap Izuku's schedule to give him a chance to work on his light powers. And since Inko is also a light power worker, she can be there to help Izuku. So that's why she allows him to do it once a week. Did I say once a week each month? I mean, half a month. So, like, they alternate. Like, maybe the 1st to the 14th, he'll be a sun schedule. And then the 14th to the 28th, the 31st, he'll be a moon schedule. So, yeah. Anyway, also, the full moon is Izuku's most powerful asset. So, that's when the moon's at its most powerful stage. Kind of like waterbending. But we're not going to get into that because I don't want to get copyrighted. Anyway, on to the first arc. We see Izuku in middle school. Right after the teacher announces that Izuku will apply to UA, and that Izuku screams that he will be accepted, Bakugo calls Izuku out and calls him a freak of nature. And we're about to get into why this is so bad. Like, literally, Bakugo just screwed himself. Izuku, perfectly calm, takes a deep breath, walks to the window, opens it, sticks his head out, and then aims his hand at Bakugo and fires a beam of light. And fires one of his brightest beams of light. And this actually blinds Bakugo for about 30 seconds. Bakugo screaming in agony. Well, Bakugo in agony is screaming, "Die, Deku!" His usual. I'm not about to do that. That's so cringy. And I don't feel like screaming right now. Because I live with my parents. And I don't want them to think I'm some crackhead right now. But, yeah, he's using his usual, "Die, Deku," blah, 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 blah. Anyway, calling Izuku a bastard, blah, blah, blah. The typical Bakugo stuff. Izuku, after hearing this, still his head is out the window, decides to light his right hand on fire. He pulls his head back in through the window, and then fires that fire. He launches the fire at Bakugo. Remember how Bakugo sweats nitroglycerin? Okay, wait, hold up, pause. Now, I know some of you keyboard warriors are about to say, but Bakugo doesn't sweat nitroglycerin. It sweats a nitroglycerin-like substance. Shut up. It's the same thing. It's literally the in-canon universe equivalent of nitroglycerin. So I'm going to call it that to make it more simple. No one's going to say nitroglycerin-like. Get out of here with that. Anyway, Bakugo sweats nitroglycerin. Fire plus nitroglycerin equals explosions. I think you all know where I'm going with this. The fire is launched at Bakugo, and when it hits, an explosion happens. Now, luckily, no one was hurt. Now, you think, what? Wouldn't people have exploded? You gotta remember, Bakugo wasn't really sweating much in that uniform. You saw the first explosions he made in the series were like little firecrackers in his hand, so he didn't really explode, just enough to char his desk and his uniform a little bit. Because, he didn't really have his hero costume on yet. Well, anyway. No one was hurt, thankfully, but Bakugo shut up after that. Because, you don't want to mess with someone that is perfectly fine with blowing you to bits and everybody around you. I know what you're thinking. Izuku would never do that. Not only did, I know what some of you think, in your last What If, Izuku was mean to Bakugo, blah, 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 he would never do that, but you established why. Izuku will never, ever, ever, and ever in any universe sacrifice other people just to get back at Bakugo. Because that's exactly what happened. He literally took the risk of someone getting blown up with Bakugo just to get back at him. Now, there is a reason why Deku is like this. And this is because, remember that incident where Deku almost blinded everybody when he first awakened his quirk? Well, after that, and after people heard about his quirk, they weren't the usual, oh, that's a cool power. No, they were like, you freak of nature. Because Izuku is literally doing things that animals would do. Plants get their energy from the sun, so that's how they're able to grow. Dogs are able to see at night, and Izuku has those powers. Of course, they don't know everything about Izuku's powers, but they know a good amount. And they think that Izuku is a freak of nature. So they always shunned him, and since, blinding someone isn't really a good way to get them to be your friend, no matter how awesome your quirk is. And nobody was meaner to Deku than, Izuku, can't break my streak. Nobody was meaner to Izuku than Bakugo. So Izuku is a lot more jaded in this timeline, and he's a lot more rough. So, yeah. And that's because, it's one thing to be bullied by one person, but by your entire middle school from the ages of 4 to 6? Now I know you're thinking, but Deku was bullied all the way to middle school. Exactly. But something happened when Izuku turned 7 that made him not bullied anymore. See, ever since Izuku started getting bullied at age 4, he decided to train his quirk so that he could get revenge. Revenge on all those people that hurt him. So, when Izuku turned 7, he had 2 years of training under his belt, and he decided he was strong enough to take his revenge. So, that's exactly what Izuku did. Izuku found everybody that had ever bullied him, ever said something mean to him, ever called him a freak of nature, and he did one of two things to them depending on how bad they were. He either A, beat them within an inch of their life, or B, he left them with a reminder. Well, no, it was either A, beat them within an inch of their life, or B, option A, and he gave you a reminder to never, ever, ever mess with him again, on top of the beating you. And I know what you're thinking, but Izuku wouldn't do that. He's still a good boy. Guys, I don't know if you know this, but being bullied for 2 years straight from everyone around you, and the only person that hasn't bullied you is your mom, that starts to mess with your mind, alright? That was 2 whole years. 2 years in solitary confinement breaks a person's psyche. Can literally break them several times. How do you think being shunned, outcast by everybody you know except your parents, that would break somebody? Naruto got called a monster, and the only reason why his mind didn't break, which I'm surprised it didn't, that's a whole other story. I can make a whole rant on that. In fact, I might just start a rant between these things, but back to the actual story. Izuku's a lot more jaded because of that. And because he got his sweet revenge, he decided to set a rule in place. Ever since that incident when he was 7, when he got back at all his bullies, he got Bakugo the worst. See, he didn't just beat Bakugo within an inch of his life. He left a reminder that he will forever remember. See, Bakugo has a scar on his back. Because when Izuku left him that reminder, remember how he said he has a sunbeam power that can basically he can control that? Well, Deku, using his sunbeam power, decided to give Bakugo not only just a massive sunburn with that power, but made it to where it's not just a sunburn, it's a forever cut in his, basically it's a forever scar. He burned the word Izuku into his back. Yes, he literally took his fire and a bit of sunbeam and literally burnt into Bakugo's back the word Izuku. Yeah. Deku is a lot more jaded in this one. And because of that, he's a lot more susceptible to, I don't know, becoming a villain. But we're not going to get into that. He's still an All Might fanboy. He still loves All Might. He's not going to become a villain. At least I hope not. I don't know what future me has planned for this series. I have a good idea of parts 2 and 3 in mind. That means, aka, for all you people that don't know my channel, that means I have a good idea for up until the sports festival. After that, I am completely lost. But anyway, enough about me being unprepared for the future. So yeah, Izuku is a lot more jaded in this What If. And because of that new nature, that's going to change a lot of things in the series. And I'm also going to be doing stuff because I want to improve. But we'll get to all that later. Anyway, so yeah. Bakugo knows to not bully Izuku, but he still does it because he still thinks Izuku's a freak of nature, even though he knows that Izuku will kill him, or at least give him another scar if he tries that again. But until then, until that incident had happened where he burned that mark into his back, nobody messed with Izuku. And the people that did, let's just say, they learned. Because, you learn something when someone beats it into you. Literally and figuratively. But no, anyway, well, no, that was actually up until Izuku shouted, and then, yeah. So anyway. Where was I at? Oh yeah, Izuku's still an All Might fanboy. He's not going to turn to the deep side, at least until after the UA Sports Festival. I don't know yet. I actually have no idea. I'm terrible at planning for the future. Yeah. Anyway, after that school day, Izuku walks down that path, blah, 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 slime villain shows up. And, this is where things start to take a dark turn. Izuku, being the more jaded side, just straight up kill him. Like, he literally launches a fireball so big into the slime villain's mouth by literally controlling it in there, and true to firebending, he, explodes it inside of the slime villain, making slime villain pieces across the wall. This is when All Might comes in and thinks he's having to fight, but he just finds pieces of slime splattered across the walls. He's a little bit horrified, but when Izuku explains to him what happened, he's scared, but he's also like, he's a little bit scared. He's like, this kid just killed someone. Like, yikes. Well, at least that's what they think. But as the slime villain showed in the canon, even when his body is stuffed or like squished or even sliced into pieces, for some reason he still comes to life. I guess as long as there's slime, he can come alive. I don't know why he does this, but I had a problem with this in my first What If. But anyway, so they think he's dead. All Might decides to still put him in that little bottle, and he's about to take off, but Izuku wants to ask him something. However, All Might jumps away before Izuku can ask him anything, because he's about to deflate. This is when Izuku decides that he's gonna get some answers, and he decides to fire a beam of light very bright near All Might's eyes, causing All Might to lose his balance, aka stop being able to think, okay, this is jumping, I prepare myself in the air like this. No, he just knocks him off balance with the light. All Might covers his eyes, blind, starts twirling around in the air, because that's what happens when you all of a sudden stop being in control, and he falls back down to the ground. However, he lands with style. That means he didn't break any of his bones. And then he deflates. Izuku rushes over, thinking he just killed All Might, and he sees this deflated form. Izuku starts asking questions about what happens. Starts questioning like, who are you, what is going on, and All Might decides to spill the tea. That's just a faster way of saying he tells him what happened. Anyway, Izuku asks if he can be a hero even though people call him a freak, and he basically just almost murdered somebody. And All Might says yes, with a quirk like that you could be a great hero, maybe even more powerful than him. Izuku smiles when he hears this, but his smile is quickly faded away when he sees explosions from a few blocks away. Yeah, you notice that All Might lost his balance? That bottle also lost his pocket, and the slime villain got free, and now it's wrapped around Bakugo. See, this is why I split into two options. Either Deku just walks away because he doesn't give a crap about Bakugo, or he goes saves him. He's gonna go save him because I feel like that if he doesn't do this, he doesn't get one for all. And I really wanted to get that for crucial points later in the series. That'll come. So anyway, Deku goes to rescue. Izuku goes to rescue. You know what? I'm gonna stop with this stupid thing. I'm just gonna call him whatever comes to my mind. Anyway, Izuku goes to get Bakugo, and he sees him in the mouth of the slime villain. He also sees the other pro heroes trying to put out the fires. And remember, this is happening around the evening time. The moon is pretty much out while the sun is pretty much setting. Now, since both the sun and the moon are out, Deku is at one of his strongest points right now. I don't know if it's a full moon because we don't really get that many good shots of the moon. So I'm just going to say it's not, just because I don't want it to be too overpowered right now. So the moon is out, so he's able to use his waterbending abilities, which I'm just going to call for the sake of simplicity, because it's either this or saying he makes the water and controls it. And I don't feel like saying that every time, so he just starts waterbending. He decides to get rid of all the fires that are going on right now that the slime villain and Bakugo's explosions are causing. And he does this by making a giant sphere of water, and by using his firebending abilities, he pulls all the apartment fires into the water until there are no more, and all the water's evaporated from all that fire being launched into it. Yeah. So after this happens, Izuku decides to spray as much of his water as he can into the slime villain's mouth. That did not sound right. Oh well, I'm not doing 2 takes. This is already my 3rd recording of this thing. Anyway, he sprays as much water into the villain as he can, and true to waterbending style, he makes it explode from the inside. Fire didn't work, the water's gotta work. Now, everybody thinks that the slime villain is dead, but he's not, because apparently this guy's freaking immortal and can survive not only all by punching him and literally making him splatter on the walls, but he can also survive getting hit with a Texas Smash, which, man, I don't know what this is. Okay, I think this slime villain is like the Orochimaru of this. Another topic for another day. Anyway, do you guys want to see me do rants like this? Let me know in the comments below if you guys would like have rants in between these what ifs. I would gladly do them. You know, make the content a little bit more variety. Anyway, after All Might witnesses this, he follows Izuku home and tells him about One For All and him needing a successor. Izuku immediately says yes, because it's All Might. Who doesn't say yes to being All Might's successor? Anyway, and the next morning, Izuku meets All Might at the beach and starts training. Now, I could go into detail about how all this is happening, but I can save myself so many more minutes by doing this, because this recording is already 30 goddamn minutes long. Okay, yeah, I need to wrap this up quick. This is 30 minutes. Anyway, yeah, he says yes, and it all goes the same as in canon. Literally, that's what's in the script right now as I'm reading it. Nothing happens that's not canon until the UA entrance exam. So, Izuku walks in with new One For All, and he sees a girl. He thinks she's cute, but he doesn't go to her yet. Yes, there will be a romance plot, and Izuku will have a girlfriend for this because, one, I'm trying to flex my storytelling skills. I told you I was trying to get better and do some new stuff with this. So, I'm going to let you guys decide in the comments below. Please, I have one rule for deciding who Deku's crush is going to be with. Do not put anyone who isn't a female girl, alright, a female teenage girl that is in class 1A. So that means no Toga, no Mount Lady, no freaking recovery girl. Okay, I've seen some weird ships, okay, guys, and like, you guys need to stop. This is literally, you're shipping 15-year-olds, okay? And I'm not even the one doing the shipping. I'm just trying to make the storytelling more interesting. So yes, comment down a crush for Deku. And please, 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 no Eri. If I see Eri, I will come down there and shoot every one of you. Alright, there goes the monetization. I don't even need the copy YouTube intro that you guys like. That goes my monetization right there. And whatever. I don't even have ads on the video, so whatever. Yeah. Anyway, all goes the same. Izuku rushes into the building. All goes the same as in canon, except this time when Ida gets up, he gets a beam of light in his eyes. Alright, everybody's walking to the gate, and that is the end of part 1. And this video has officially reached the 30-minute mark. This was too long. I feel like chopping this up, but I've kind of established that I go to the UA entrance exam. So I hope you guys enjoyed a 30-minute video, because it's all you're getting for this next week. But yeah, let me know if you guys want like little rants or other topics in between what ifs. I would gladly do them, and it would help me with the workload. But yeah. This is the end of part 1 of What If Deku Had a Half and a Half Quirk. Thank you guys so much for listening. Bye-bye.